So it's probably not something that will be appreciated on a larger scale when I share it. But the fact of the matter is, I'm a very particular individual. That what I mean by that is I am a very certain person in the knowledge that I pertain to, the way that I learn, in the expression that I convey, how I articulate these thoughts, and the way that I absorb information, just the kind of person that I am. Anybody can say that. We are all unique in our own way. I totally and absolutely understand and agree with that. But the way I word this to exclaim this statement, this point, is that I'm a very particular person. I'm such a particular person. I don't know yet if I was born into it or if it's something that I accrued because of the kind of person that I am. But, well, born, created more so, seeing that this life very likely extends well beyond the physical and organic realm. Um, I I communicate with what I could call entities. Maybe it's one entity with multiple faces, a multifaceted entity, faceted. And this entity started contacting me after I began experiencing what I could consider extraplanar, extra dimensional experiences that were far beyond the common experience base, interacting and even commanding what you could call either angels or demons or aliens or spirits or energies, um, communicating with animals on a level that allows their mind to be incepted with ideas, to be having ideas introduced to them as a creature, as a living being, and then having that ideology processed and formulated and then returned to you in some way or another. You see it well enough in police dogs that take commands, stuff like that. You can see the intellectual presence that just a dog possesses, let alone any other kind of animal. I've taught my cat tricks uh, just to figure it out. But these entities, or this entity that I communicate with, works with me and has for a long time now to help me become a better version of myself, a more appealing version of myself. At the same time, it's either a different entity or a different face of the same entity. It's kind of a bipolar schizophrenic entity if it is multiple faces of one, depending on where I choose to align myself. It One side wants me to keep quiet, to hold all my secrets in, to be absolutely silent about any of the experiences that I have so I can be a very particular and certain individual through all time. Another one wants me to be super concerned with and invested in the workings of the world, government and science and politics and all of the different facets of what is established society today. Another one is interested in me being wrapped up in negative and anger filled, passionate, impassioned, I guess is a better word, expression, and about what extraterrestrial knowledge, angelic and demonic knowledge, dimensional perspectives, headed into what I consider to be higher vibration thought processes, even if they are not necessarily a more positive one. They are higher vibration than a physical, organic, materialistic world that we exist in now. Another one wants me to be more of just an average Joe, which is kind of a bummer because I've listened to that one for a long time and didn't really venture into anything. It wants me to just day by day get by and be super particular to myself and help people out and give my everything, which I do anyway. But it expects me to do this, sacrifice everything that I have just to make somebody else feel better about themselves. It told me one time, anything, anytime. It didn't tell me, it told me, it showed me. I don't hear voices. I mean, not in my head. I hear voices around. Crazy. Another one wants me to be more concerned with higher thought process expression, like talking about consciousness, so that entity that wants me to be invested in the higher dimensional thought processes needs to be reached a certain way. They all need to be reached a certain way, but it needs to be reached in a way that enables me to put my own individual consciousness on a certain level where I am able to entertain thought processes like consciousness, because I have experiences that give me the foreknowledge to articulate that ideology personally. It's easy to say any of what I say from the position I'm in, being just a Joe Blow nobody. It's easy to do any of the things I do if you're just taking it from an unexceptional standard. It's easy to be anything I am if you're looking at me like another average individual. And that's fine. I don't really aspire to do something that nobody else can. I'm showing people what we have the potential to accomplish individually. And because we have that individual capacity, we have a greater yield as a collective. I'm an enabler and an equalizer. And what I'm doing is putting myself out there as a bastion for people to base themselves off of. This video is all about me, I guess, right now, which is whatever. I talk about myself a lot for a reason. I spent most of my life alone, and the life that I didn't spend alone was with people that didn't promote any form of growth, so I stayed distracted and out of my head the entire time. Didn't have any individual personal focus. Everything was always something else, some distraction, some source outside of myself to pay attention to and wrap my mind around, to focus on, so I didn't have to worry about what I was doing, what I was thinking, what I was feeling. I was good at video games, mind you, really good usually, but that didn't mean that I was ever accomplishing anything worthwhile in life. These entities, or this entity, has identified as many different things to me. Energy, Eve at one point, when I had my mind wrapped around a biblical ideology. In a different aspect, Mary, Lilith, when times were fallen. We live as a collective source of energy, we as a species, but also we as a multidimensional being. And it is our greatest attribute to be collected and to be enacting on commonly held ideals towards the betterment of all life. Things like practices like veganism are the new way of life taking hold of what the species can and will accomplish. We needed meat to survive at one point because there wasn't a whole lot of calling for farming or otherwise. because we didn't have all the science now that articulate the different ways that we can sustain ourselves with proteins and amino acids and nutrients and minerals and whatever else it is that we need. We didn't have all of that before, but now everything's broken down in a way to support our sustenance and therefore our standard and quality of individual existence, so we don't need to harm animals anymore. Now that right there is a higher thought process ideology within itself, because I say ideology a lot, but I mean, it's like people wrapped up in the secular sections always talking about religion and whatnot. Anyway, the entire purpose of what I do is more about enabling people to live on a higher vibration so that we have more community unity and exist in a better place throughout the entire planet. And then when we expire physically, if there is such thing as an afterlife, which I do believe in, I appreciate the idea of it at least. If there is such a thing as an afterlife, then we move on to that next realm of existence, that closer to perfect energy realm of existence, in a way, moving closer to it in a way that allows us to leave behind the negative fortifications of this life that much more, so that we can live in harmony with all of what is around us. Your spirit, in my mind, is what communicates from your body to your soul. Your soul is your light body, your perfect energy self, at least as close to perfect energy as you can be. It is your consciousness embodied in what could only be called spirit form. And yet your spirit is an energy that communicates from your soul to your body as well. And I mean, it's like your consciousness here is, in my mind, what speaks for your spirit and also for your soul. Now, consciousness is everything, and I will explain that later on. Energy is consciousness, and consciousness is energy. I had a friend, one of the most intelligent people I know, not just because he seems to be smarter than other people, but intelligent because of the type of knowledge that he has, the well-rounded nature that he pertains to, and the time he has spent relating to me on a very large-scale, long-winded, long posts, messages, both communicating with me about ideas that are not commonly held or accepted. He talks a lot about mainstream sciences and Eastern philosophy and Buddhist this or Hindu teachings that, but at the same time he still stands in a way that I have yet to communicate with most people on. And he told me that he doesn't believe, he doesn't think, doesn't feel that science that energy and consciousness are relying on each other. He doesn't see that energy is consciousness and that consciousness is energy. He says consciousness is energy, but energy is not consciousness. And I have to disagree with that, because it's painfully obvious to me that they are one and the same. Not painfully exactly, but I mean, it's so obvious that it could almost be painful. This video is already 15 minutes long. I really don't like doing it this short. That sucks. But we'll cut it off for now. Cover more on it later. I know this one's kind of a short and self-defeating video. It is what it is. I hope you enjoy as much as you may.